Some people lie for privacy, some people lie for survival, and some people lie because the truth would end them. This week, the lies clocked out. So, from studio setups to secret relationships to political plot twists nobody ordered. And one thing about the internet, it doesn't forget, and it definitely doesn't forgive. Welcome to Receipts and Reactions, where the truth doesn't whisper, it screen records. Subscribe now, because if you've ever found out the truth late and felt sick, this episode is your closure.
Let's go, New York! John Cash. Yo, listening to John Cash.
Everything discussed is public, alleged, and already online. We are commentators, not investigators. The facts are public. The reactions, that's where it gets dangerous. If you're sensitive, spiritual, or selectively outraged, this may not be your ministry. Now, before we get into the chaos this week, we need to take a moment. We lost someone who didn't just appear in culture, she helped hold it together. Kiki Shepard has passed, and if you know what she meant to an entire era. She wasn't the loudest person in the room, but she was the one the room respected. See, Showtime at the Apollo wasn't just entertainment. It was judgment. It was raw. It was honest. It was unforgiving. And in the middle of all of that, Kiki Shepard, composed, elegant, unshakable. Before social media decided who was talented, the Apollo did. Before algorithms decided talent, Black audiences did, and they didn't lie. And before artists had comment sections, they had that crowd. And if you survived that stage, you were real. Some people go viral, and some people become foundational. Kiki Shepard, she was foundational. Rest in power. Now let's go into studio setup or street justice. Pooh Shiesty, Big 30, and the Gucci Man allegation, so to speak. So let me get this straight. You go to the studio to record and you leave with a trauma story? Let me break that down. Now, allegations have recently come out where Gucci Man was kidnapped, allegedly, and robbed at gunpoint in a Dallas, Texas studio by Pooh Shiesty and Big 30, who were reportedly arrested in connection with the robbery and kidnapping. Now, the studio, which is once seemed a safe creator space, now is looking like a trap episode of Law and Order. You can't build a legacy in the booth and a case in the same room. The studio used to be where you drop hits. Now is where you might drop your location. This is what happens when street energy doesn't clock out for business hours. Some of what y'all call being real is just a refusal to evolve. You can't build an empire while still operating like you owe the block a performance. And some people don't get set up, they just never slowed down. Now let's get into some kind of disrespectful quotes that came to the top of my head when I first heard this. They turned a recording booth into an escape room with real consequences. And Gucci came for vocals and almost left with a documentary. Shout out to 50, aka the algorithm. Now, hip hop's biggest contradiction: wanting corporate money, but with street loyalty rules. You can't move like you're famous and reckless at the same time. Now, here's my call to action to you. Was this a setup or just bad decisions catching up? Drop your verdict below. Now let's transition to another hot topic, so to speak, Brandy. And we'll call this confession or cover up. And this is about Brandy Wanye Morris and the timeline that aged badly. Now, recently, Brandy revealed a romantic relationship with Wanye Morris of Boys to Men after years of denial, and now it's been reversed. Now, here's the key issue. She was 16 and he was 22. Let me ask you something. If the same story happened today, some of y'all wouldn't defend it. You distance yourself from it. This isn't just tea. This is timeline accountability. Because when the truth finally comes out, it doesn't just expose what happened, it exposes what people were protecting. And let's be clear, this is exactly why people don't revisit certain stories, because context changes everything. Some secrets expire, others incriminate. Time doesn't heal everything. Sometimes it exposes it. You cannot rewrite history when people remember the cast. Now, let me jump into this. We're in an era right now where nostalgia is being audited. And you have to realize that the truth didn't change. The protection around the truth did. I'm going to ask you something. Call to action. John Cash Show Universe. Does time change how we judge situations like this? Or does the truth hit the same regardless? Talk to me. Because some of y'all don't have a moral stance. You have a timeline-dependent opinion. Now let's jump into some chili. Perception versus reality. Chili, politics, and the internet jumping the gun. Now, nobody had chili from TLC trending for politics on their bingo card in 2026, but here we are. Let me get this clear. Let's get this clear, because the internet loves to freestyle some facts. Chili was recently called out over past donations and social media activity. She also addressed it publicly, saying she made mistakes. She did not confirm alignment with either MAGA or Trump. And that right there, that's where this gets interesting. This isn't just about politics. This is about how fast perception becomes truth online. Because once the narrative is out there, people don't ask questions, they pick sides. I know what side I pick. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. But let's continue. See, the internet doesn't wait for clarity. It builds a storyline. And once you're cast in that role, good luck rewriting that script. Because fans don't just consume music, they attach identity, values, and expectations to you. And when those expectations feel violated, even if the facts are incomplete, reaction comes first. Understanding comes maybe never. The internet treats rumors like group projects. Everybody adds something and nobody checks the shit. We are living in an era where perception moves faster than proof, and correction never travels as far as the original story. Once the narrative sticks, facts have to fight for relevance. The internet doesn't ask, is it true? It asks, does it sound right? You don't get canceled for facts, you get canceled for perception. Speed beats accuracy every time online. And by the time the truth shows up, the jury has already voted. Now, I'm going to ask you, be honest. Do you wait for facts, or do you react first and adjust later? Don't lie. This is a safe space for bad habits. And in the final verdict, the reason this hits so hard is because everybody watching has done some version of this just without an audience. So I'm going to ask you, who took the biggest L this week? This wasn't just a messy week. This was a public audit with no appeal process. So here are the options. the studio setup situation, the Brandy timeline reveal, and the chilly political pivot. Because somebody this week did not read the room, the timeline, or the internet. Vote in the comments. I'm reading every answer. Trust me. Y'all are very ruthless in some of your comments, and I love it. Now, let's close this out. The truth doesn't ask for permission, it waits for exposure. And in this week's petty proverb, the truth doesn't need promotion, it just needs time. And when it shows up, it doesn't knock, it kicks the door in. This has been the John Cash Show podcast, unfiltered, unapologetic, unmissable. Subscribe if you like your commentary honest and a little bit disrespectful. Leave a review if this episode made you rethink something, and share this with someone who still believes everything stays hidden. I'm John Cash, and I'll see you next week on Hot Take Court.
Let's go, New York! John Cash. Yo, listen to John Cash.